Okay, guys. Wouldn't you say it's our job to see the world differently? How important is it? Everybody over the age of 12 living in a first world country has a phone, which means they have a camera, which means they have the tool of our trade on their person. If everyone had a microphone right now, could we all sing? No, but now everyone's a photographer, right? Everyone takes pictures. You know what? I think it's a blessing and a curse in many ways. Blessings, well, I mean, people are taking more pictures than any other time in the history of the universe right now. Quite incredible. Most popular phone is the iPhone. Think about that one. Think of how many people are doing selfies now, taking a photo of themselves. They don't need us anymore. They take selfies. It's fun. Yes, it is fun. But arguably, how many people go out there to photograph people and things trying to preserve a moment that didn't even exist? In other words, you get to someone like the Eiffel Tower and people get their cameras out and start taking photos of themselves behind and to just preserve that moment. It didn't even happen. Did you sit there and soak it in? Did you soak in the beauty? I remember I was doing a workshop with some 20 students in Rome, and I was there. We got to the Colosseum. The sunlight was going down. The warm, beautiful light was kissing the Colosseum. The blue was contrasting. It was incredible. And I've been there before, but man, I was seeing this sight and I was soaking it in. And I said to the guys, I could show you pictures right now. We could take some photographs, but do me a favor, put your cameras down. And we just stood there. And I said, guys, say nothing, but soak that in. So we just sat there and we watched the sun go down on the Colosseum. I said, I want you to soak in the energy. I want you to soak in what happened here, what could have happened here. Soak in the gladiators, soak in the people of power, the things that happened, good, bad, and ugly in this location. Think about the history that you are seeing and living and breathing right now. Put your cameras down. And after 10, 15 minutes, we were all looking at this and all bawling. It's the first time that you sit there and you just soak this stuff in. Think about it. We get paid to preserve moments for other people so they can soak it in at the expense of our own. Now that's a whole other seminar, but I strongly encourage you, if you're taking moments away from your own family to capture moments of somebody else's family, then charge a good, decent rate. Again, a whole other seminar, but if nothing else, I'll teach you this. We often refer to photography as being priceless, don't we? What's priceless tomorrow should be expensive today. If you're going to tweet something, that's a good tweet right there. That's all I'm saying. True? So like I said, again, it's a whole other seminar. Every so often I'll give you little glimpses of my philosophy on photography, life and love and shooting and all that kind of stuff, but ultimately I want to stick to what we advertise. So how do we make something out of nothing? How do we do it? I find that if we think literally, we just get literal. If we think laterally, we might just get lateral because we're actually thinking about something a little bit different. We're looking at the world a little bit differently. If you go to that next shoot and think ordinary, guess what you'll get? You'll get ordinary. Ordinary effort, ordinary results. Extraordinary effort, extraordinary results. True? So let's think about it. Now, in fact, I had one, I was doing a seminar pretty much like this one in London a few years ago. And a cynical elderly gentleman actually said, Jerry, you know, it's okay for you. You get good shots because you photograph beautiful people in beautiful locations. Pretty much like I said to you this morning, but he was very verbal about it, almost to the point of just chastising me a little bit, like I'm trying to be famous on just false pretenses and things like that. He goes, prove to me you can do a great shot right where you are right now. I'm like, dude, just chill, it's only a seminar. But I love a challenge. So I said, no problem, let me take a shot right here. I said, does anyone have a camera? Because I didn't have a camera with me, for God's sake. It wasn't a shooting seminar. So I grabbed a camera from the audience. The very table that my projector was on basically had, it was a tablecloth. So I lifted up the tablecloth and it revealed a crappy old brown table, okay? Because you don't know what it's all about. You have no idea, right? So, okay, crappy brown table. So I lift the tablecloth off. I found something white on my computer. So I went to the Mac website. So there's my clean white light source. So I get one of my students to hold my projector to illuminate my subject. So can you imagine that now? So I've got the projector light. I have a crappy brown table. The very water that I was drinking, I just pour that bottle of water over the table. People were freaking out. What the hell am I pouring water over a table for? because it was crappy, I wanted it to look good, so I deliberately poured water on to get a reflection, because the closer you go to a reflective surface, the more vivid the reflection. Then I actually grabbed one of the girls, who was very, very gorgeous. I actually got her to kneel down, bring her chin on the table, tilt her head, turn her face. I grabbed her entire reflection in the reflection of the water, and then half of her real face. In camera, I get the following shot, so I use these elements, but in camera, I get this.
Wow.
Let's just say he freaked out. So, and I wasn't trying to be a hero, I was just basically saying, okay, what's the coolest thing I can do roughly where I'm standing? If I had to do something really cool, what would it be? And I looked around and I'm thinking, what can it be? What I'm getting at is, I think we don't put enough pressure on ourselves. We think too mediocre. It's almost like mediocrity is encouraged these days. You know what I mean? If someone put a gun to your head, literally, and said, create an amazing image in this room, and put a gun to your head, what would you do? You would create an incredible image, wouldn't you? I know it sounds funny, but often my mind works a bit weird sometimes, and I'm like, I put the pressure on myself, like if I don't do a credible shot right now, I'm going to die, right? I put the pressure on myself. I know it sounds stupid, but it changes my mindset. Now, no one's going to put a gun to my head and actually do that there right now. But you know what? My life does depend on it. In other words, if I do an incredible shot in this location and no one expected it, and then I gain the trust and the respect and the admiration of the bride and everyone there, and then she buys that image and I make more money, it gives me more choices, which gives me more of a lifestyle. Well, now it affects my life. You know what? It does actually save my life. It affects my life. Wouldn't you agree? Think about it in those terms. And you might say, well, I'm not being compared to anybody else. I'm the only person photographing right now. I'm not really being compared with anyone. No one will actually know whether I achieve a good, bad, or ugly shot. So therefore, why really just push myself that far? Just do pose number 23 with bride number 47. And I'm just saying, other times where I do pose number 23 with bride number 47, yes, I'm running out of time. I have to just get the shot, as in, let me do what I have to do so I can do what I want to do. Eat my vegetables. If I have some time, I can have the candy, so to speak. Make sense? So just think differently. It's all about your mindset. In fact, I had one of my students at a workshop recently, a little while ago, he came to me and he said, Jerry, I've always wanted to meet you. I've always wanted to ask you something in person. And now that you're here, I want to ask you. He goes, please answer me this question. I said, please, anything you want. And he says to me, Jerry, how do you crop so differently? The way you crop faces and dissect heads and faces, it's just sort of quite different to what I normally see. How do you do it? How do you do it? And I looked at him and he was looking at me all starry-eyed. And I say, the key to cropping differently is to crop differently. He was so upset, like he was waiting for this pearl of wisdom, like the Kung Fu master, you know what I mean? Something. And he was like, and I said, anyway, so I let it go. I let it simmer a little bit. Then during our workshops that we do, I teach different techniques and then I get my students to go out with models and practice what they've quickly learned and then show me the results. So I say to him, okay, here's 10 minutes, here's a model. Every single shot that comes from your camera has to be different. Okay? Every crop has to be different. Unusual. He's freaking out. He's sort of like a cat about to pounce, sort of like, what? I said, don't think, because the more you think, the less you feel. He goes, what does that mean? I go, don't worry about it. Don't take any shot that's a cliche, nothing that you normally do. Think differently, crop differently. That's in your mind. Go for it, go. So he did. He comes back. No joke, he looked like Moses coming back from the burning bush. His hair was all flowing and parted. His face was enlightened. He comes to me like this. He shows me his camera. In disbelief, I'm looking at the photographs. And I'm like, he's cropped half the face like this, just with the face, the eyes, the lips, the bust, the hips. He just went down the entire body and every single shot was like killer shots. I'm like, why did you crop differently? And he says, because you told me. So what are you going to tell yourself the next time you go to do a shoot? And you're sort of like, oh, is that all? It's all a mindset. Everything is in your brain. Like, it can be the death of you or the life of you. Let me show you how stupid we are. Are you ready? We are. All of us, we are. We're not very bright up here. All right. Who here in this room believes they can put their price up by 10%? Put your hand up if you can put your price up by 10%. Okay, probably most of the group. Keep your hand up. Get your hand and slap your own face. Why am I saying that? Because your mind prevented you by putting the price up by 10%. I just said to you, can you put your price up by 10%? And half of you very proudly said, yeah, of course I can, no problem. Guess what I just did for you? Tomorrow morning, what are you guys going to do? Put your price up by 10%. Let's say you charge $4,000 and you do 20 weddings a year and you make now $400 more. There's an $8,000 raise that Jerry Ghionis just gave you.
Thanks.
You see what I'm trying to say? Your mind just prevents you from doing stuff because we don't think clearly. Like we get trapped into a certain mold or way of thinking. So that's what I'm saying to you is if you want to be more creative, you've got to be more creative. Think more creative. Don't just think literally, think laterally. The worst thing that happened to our creativity, you know what it was? We grew up. Guess what? I never grew up. You ask Melissa, if you catch her later on during the breaks and stuff and just ask her the silly stuff that I do, well, you've already probably seen the way I have fun and chat and do whatever. I have no shame. I have fun. We're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time. Do you think I'm going to go on my deathbed and say, it was so amazing being so conservative in my life? I'm going to say, man, those times I used to crack up and talk shit like all that time, wasn't that so much fun? That's what I'm going to say. And I'm saying is I hang around people who enjoy that, and I do that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm right and you're wrong if you're not flamboyant and over the top and crazy like me. I'm not saying that at all. Just be whoever you want to be, with no shame. If you're talking about being an artist and being creative, I'm saying, weren't you creative when you were a kid? You grew up, you were just making little games, little blinking games in the car. You bought these little Star Wars action figures and stuff like that. You'd make little whole little stories and little Matchbox cars and used to play and Barbie dolls, and you were very creative. And you know what happened? Shit got real. You started paying bills, and you know what I'm trying to say? And then you get opened up. I'm just saying is, don't get me wrong. I'm serious when I need to be. I'm anything that I need to be when I need to be it. But more often than not, I just have fun, and that will reflect on my clients. That creativity will reflect when I'm shooting. And guys, I'm still learning. That's what I love about photography. You can never be the best. There is no such thing. That's the never-ending journey. And you know what? I find it's more fun to chase. When you play with a better player, you get better yourself. Wouldn't you agree? Who's been go-kart racing here? Go-kart. Isn't it? I hate being in front because you're like this. But when someone's in front of you, it's more fun. You just. So that's what I'm saying, guys, is that's why I love being around photographers. I love soaking your energy. I love giving the energy because we all have different things to offer. It just happens to be my turn to give a lot of my energy to you today, for example. Doesn't make me better or worse. We're just sharing ideas now, yeah? Let's share some more ideas. How about we open up your eyes a little bit and give you some confidence on how to wow. Let's do it. This situation that I was in, I'm actually looking around. I'm actually here in LACMA. This is actually in Los Angeles right now. And tough situation. Great location. Lighting is maybe not so great because lighting is up the top. I've got contrasting blue. By the time the light gets to the couple, there's nothing there. And I said that if you've got a great location, either find the good light or find the good light. So I have my flash off camera right behind them. I have them about on 200 mils, so my flash bulb through my speed light is zoomed back, so I get a tunnel of light rather than be too wide, because if my flash, the bulb inside the flash, it's too close, it'll go too wide. Make sense? And then I get this image. If I went too close with the flash, the light would hit here and be too literal. The mystery would be gone. How do I get away with a shot like that where they're wide angle, like I'm wide angle on the ground and they're standing up like this? Wide angle on the ground, they're like this. Normally the couples look like that. What I do is I get them to lean towards the camera to correct my perspective. When I'm shooting with a very wide angle lens, like 14 mil, for example, I make sure my couples are not on the edge of the frame. Otherwise, it'd be distorted. Make sense? Let's move on. Here I was shooting a wedding in Switzerland, and then I'm seeing this textured piece of glass, that coffee table or the desk. I thought, how cool would it be to get an in-camera texture? So I thought they wanted some detail shots, and I wanted to photograph their rings. Is it just me, or are you guys sick to death of detail shots? Who does weddings here? And do you do detail shots? I don't know about you, but I'm like, can you take my detail shots? Can you take my chair covers, my candelabras? And I sacrifice half an hour of shooting them more for the sake of shooting like their decor. Dude, since when did decor replace family? Couples, relationship, being in love. And don't get me wrong, I know you spend a lot of money on it, but for God's sake, like the blogs and the magazines, they're brainwashing our brides and the Pinterest friggin', yeah. You know, and I understand it's the market, it's what happens, but if you want to shoot what I call detail shots with a heartbeat, as in there's detail, but I'm suggesting the human presence. For me, that speaks more volumes. For God's sake, when you photograph a bride's dress, I call it the inverted bust dress. You know when the dress is there hanging on a hanger and the bust is inverted because there's no body in it? I'm sorry, a dress looks a lot sexier with a girl in it. Put the boobs in the freaking dress. Do you know what I mean? It's a lot sexier. Manolo Blahniks, I've always wanted Manolos. Her feet look sexier in the freaking shoe. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion. So what I do is, usually on my website, and what I show the kinds of shots that I want. Therefore, I attract the kind of clients that I deserve by doing that, and then more often than not, they like to have a suggestion of that, and I tell them, in as much as I do detail shots, don't get me wrong, if they want them, I'll do them, but I'll try to do them with a suggestion of the human presence. Cutting of the cake or a cake shot, have the couple kissing as a silhouette in the background. Something, give your images a little spice that no one else has. So only recently I was doing an actually engagement session, This was a 5-year anniversary shoot, and this was in our apartment in LA. And what I did was, we lay her down, she was wearing a robe. I turned her body away from the light, turned her face back in. We get this. She had a modest bust. I wanted to increase her cleavage, so I posed her hands in a way where it pressed up against her bust, creating this shadow on her bust, and you would swear that she had ample cleavage. Turned her face back into the light, catch lights in the eyes, shadow on there, life is good. Then she sort of hinted to me that she wanted something a little bit more risque, and like most women, they always end up naked in front of my camera. I don't know why. People trust me. I build trust with my humor and my empathy. My wife is there. Whenever I photograph boudoir, I'm very respectful. Like when I was photographing Lisa, you didn't hear me crack a joke. There's no innuendo. I always have someone with me, nice and easy. And then we do this shot. Where did I get that idea from? John and Yoko. Yeah, I think it's sexy when the woman's naked personally, but that's just me. There it is. Then we went to Santa Monica Pier, and it was man, there was like 10 photographers doing shoots there. The cool thing about it was that most of them were shooting into the sun. I'm like, dude, God is telling you to shoot that way, and you're shooting like that. That's like shooting into a pro photo flash. But that's good for me, so I use the sun, hitting and reflecting back, and this is what I got. This is all out of camera. There's no Photoshop. I haven't had time to do anything yet. This is just straight out of the camera. They rang me up to apply. They flew from Canada for this shoot, and they said to me, Jerry, we're very awkward, we're very clumsy, we're not good in front of the camera. And I'm like, no, you're not, oh my God, no, you're not. You know when your voice goes up and you're really a bit sensitive about it? Like, oh my God, no. And then I met them, and yes, they were clumsy, they were awkward in front of the camera, and they were difficult to photograph. You know what I mean? But you know what? You grit your teeth, and you just try your hardest, and you keep on going, until you get that magic in the camera. Then the sun was getting a bit lower and lower and lower. And then finally, I lower my camera angle, I shoot in this way, and just with a simple change of perspective and lens choice and exposure, I get this image. Then the sun was going down a bit further again, so what did I do? I used that light cutting across, that light coming through. Do you notice where I cut the horizon? Michelangelo, among the master sculptors and painters and all those things, you know when you would create a bust, there's a pedestal, a pillar, and then head and shoulders? It would cut just here, just underneath the chest and above the elbow. That tells me that if I pass the elbow, I have to show the whole hand. There's a cropping rule right there. So with a strong horizontal line, like a beach horizon or a strong line, you want to cut here. Very rarely here, 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 here. If it's close to here, you might as well envelop the person completely in that water or that horizon line. Otherwise, that sets the actual standard because it becomes a portrait of you. The same way that you got a pedestal and a bust, it becomes a portrait. So that gives us the rule of where we crop, if we can, if the environment lets us. Then the bride sort of hinted to me that she wanted a shot in this perspective. What on earth am I going to do on this particular angle? I could shoot close up and get rid of it, or I could shoot down low and up high and get rid of it. But whenever I look at an environment, my first instinct tells me that it's a bad move or this is a weakness. This is a bad place to photograph. I shouldn't photograph here. I say, how do I make it a strength? How do I make that negative into a strength? How do I use it? Because if most photographers would ignore it, perhaps the very reason why I might stand out amongst my competition, let's say, is because I use it. And here's what I did. Does that look familiar? Those inner legs out, the tickling of light over here. I couldn't go any lower to get the horizon maybe here, but at least I got it off their necks. And this cute little kid was building a sandcastle, and bang, that added a bit of spice to the story. Sometimes when I want to get rid of the visual chaos, which it already was, the black and white just meshed it in a little bit, and it made you focus on the actual moment. Typically, just generally, why would I choose an image in black and white? Same reasons. More often than not, it's more moment-driven. If an image is very much a moment, and I want to remove the color bias for you to focus on the moment, pretty much the way newspapers have conditioned us. When we see moments, they're normally black and white. Now, of course, newspapers can print color and all that kind of thing, but that's what I do it. Or sometimes when the color is all over the place, like color is like, say, DJ lighting and yellows and purples and crap like that, and I couldn't quite clean up that light with my flash, then I might change to black and white, perhaps. So whenever there's a strong horizontal line in an image, especially cutting across a couple, it even could be this, for example, right? Anything that's a strong horizontal line, typically, if you have a choice, you want to get it just underneath the chest and above the elbow. So that's the rule that, again, like Michelangelo, among many others, have taught us, that is a good posing rule. It's a good cropping rule. And I certainly follow it, and it makes it a portrait of someone. Rather than if it's here, it's sort of like you suffocate a little bit, If you can. If you have no other choice, because I couldn't go down further with the water, I'll get wet, or I just couldn't stand in a position where it didn't work, that's where I'll go maybe a shallow depth of field, 2.8, so eliminate it, or I just live with it, or I soften it afterwards in Photoshop. Pick one. Okay, this was in LA. I was actually photographing a bride, and the wind was blowing the curtains up and down, and I'm thinking, how cool would it be to just shoot through them with a bit of softness in the foreground and have my bride with her body turning away from the light source and her face back in, and I get this image. A simple image, simple, but she looks beautiful, doesn't she? And that's what I want. I want to bring out the best in her. Beautiful catch lights in the eyes, beautiful smile. You might be wondering with all these shots, how do I get the expressions? We'll come to that. That's going to be after the break, and we're going to finish today's presentation with that notion, is how to evoke emotion, how to do those things. Cool? And I didn't actually realize that this hotel that I was staying at over here was where this sign was. You may have seen this in movies and TV shows and things like that. I thought, I've got to do a shot with that in it. Isn't that fun? How did I do that shot? Underexposed the sky, got the exposure correct for the sky, One speed light, bang on them, TTL, and that's how I got that shot. So then I'm walking in the hotel room, I see this. And then I position myself pretty much like I did before. Okay, right up against the window. I turn the bodies away from the light, faces back in, I get this image. Then I'm like, I look back at her, I ask about that shawl. What's your wrap? Is there anything special or sentimental about that shawl or wrap? And she says it was my grandmother's. Now, I had a very, very strong relationship with my grandmother from Greece, and I had to glorify it. And I couldn't make it too contemporary or too, just simply keep it clean, make it very, very classic. So I made a classic portrait of the girl with her shawl. And I love her expression here. Have a look. So simple, but how powerful. It looks like National Geographic, that cover, that Steve McCurry picture that's very famous? But a modern version, a flipped version. She's wearing white and a bit wider, but you know what I'm trying to say. It catches the sensibility of that image, if that makes any sense. All right. So then we walked on the roof, and they got married on the roof of this building. So I set them up. Now, the light was being backlit, so I needed some light in the foreground, so I had a reflector back on them. I got this shot. Simple, strong, clean, beautiful triangular composition, depending on which way you look at it, nice sort of shadows. But that glow of light, don't think backlight is good light. Backlight is just backlight. Make sure there's beautiful light coming in the foreground as well. Okay, we want some beautiful light coming through, guys. I did a wedding in Jersey last year. Jersey. And I thought, I didn't know people like that existed, you watch Jersey Shore, and I'm like, I didn't realize that, that there's a body boys that work out all day and speak like that, and, they've got this sort of that sensibility, and I'm like, this is fun, So during the evening, he took off his shirt. I would too, if I had arms like that. So they got down, and guess what flash technique I use in this particular shot? Bounce flash, boom, boom, there I go. Exposed for ambience, and then back in. Now, many of us will look at that DJ light in the background and think, oh, what a pain in the ass that is, the DJ lights. I'm like, well, maybe I can use them. So I asked the couple to go nice and close to the actual light. I said, look at each other and evoked a certain emotion, and then change it to a sort of a subtle sepia. I got this shot. But how many times do we look at that light and just pass them by and don't do anything about it? I can't. I dare not stop them and take another shot and take 2 minutes to do that shot. Well, why wouldn't you? What's the worst they can say? No? It's all in the way you ask.
That's the only light you use for that shot?
That's the only light. Guys, how many times have you wanted the bride to lie down on the ground and she didn't do it for you? Because you said something like this, I've got an idea for a photograph. I just want you to lie down. Your dress might get dirty, a bit creased, but what do you think? Here's how I ask. Hey, darling, I've got an amazing idea for a photograph. You know what I'd like you to do? I want you to lie down on the ground, bring your backside right up against the wall. I want you to bring your legs up on the wall and slightly cross them. Just slightly bend them, point your toe. I want you to lift your dress up and expose your legs as much as you're happy to. And we're going to see your beautiful shoes go down your gorgeous curves. I want you to arch your back and turn your face and chin up and look right into the camera with a nice, soft, subtle look. What do you think? I gave myself goosebumps, for God's sake. I practically just made love to her, for God's sake. Why wouldn't she do that? Do you see what I'm trying to say? I'm selling the sizzle. I'm selling it emotionally. It's not logical. Logical is you'll get wet, you'll get dirty, you'll get creased. I sell it with emotion, and that's a whole other seminar when we talk about selling, but I'm telling you guys, I sell with emotion. It's all about emotion. Otherwise, forget it. And guys, that's our problem. Us guys, we think too clinical. We think too literal. We overanalyze. Some women are like that. It's very rare, but some women are like that, and you'll just never get over that little hurdle of crossing that boundary. This is not being sexist. I just think it's true with what I've seen over the years and people I know. I think men think before they feel, and women usually feel before they think. So if we know this, get what women want. What women want? They want to feel. They want more feeling, usually. A corporate client, a corporate powerhouse of an executive woman, maybe not. So you have to read people and adjust accordingly. Think about it. Photography is not just this. It's not just posing and lighting. It's so many different things, don't you think? I love the idea of body language and what makes people tick and all that kind of stuff. I think it's a beautiful thing. How about this? This is Lisa. This is in Chicago. It's a pretty bad location. I don't look at the scaffolding and all the crap in the background. All I see is a vivid reflection. I get it nice and close to it, and we make it look pretty interesting. Crop it nice and tight, turn her face up, shoot her on the shadow side of the face. There it is. I keep on going up. I walk upstairs. I find this location. Now, because I've actually shot in this location before, I haven't photographed this location before, but places like this where I see a marble wall with little creases, I know that if I lower my vantage point, I'll probably see 4 or 5 of her, which I do. Once you practice enough and you use your environment enough, you will know to anticipate that particular shot the next time you're confronted with it. The problem is, have you been to enough locations, enough spots, enough things and to see it and all that kind of thing? And I see this spotlight on the ground. So what do? I stand up here and shoot downwards. I use that down here. Get this. Then I look up. I'm like, wait a second, that's a softbox. I get this image. Now you might say, how on earth did you get that expression? There's 2 things. You can ask 2 ways. Hey couple, be sexy. You can't say to, what does that mean, be sexy? Like, it's stupid, right? Like, your idea of sexy, what is it? It's sort of silly. What I'm saying is you have to make someone feel that way. Now, you might say, well, how did I do it for that couple? You know what I said? First, I posed the architecture, like I told you earlier today. Architecture is, hey, bride, you stand there with your hands like this. Hey, dude, come nice and close, bring your lips close to her shoulder. That's the architecture. But the emotion's not there yet. It's mechanical. It's just 2 faces in a certain position. You know what I said? Hey, dude, just with the warmth of your lips, tell me how much you love your girl. Hey, darling, close your eyes. On the count of 3, I want you to look at me. 1, 2, 3. There it is. I was in New York, photographing this particular photograph. I looked up at the actual sky. It was quite hazy. I want it darker, so I underexpose the sky. I lower my camera angle, shoot upwards, have 1 speed light on TTL, off camera flash, and I take this shot. Expose to the sky, get your position right, add the speed light, and bang. Yeah. This next shot, guys, people have asked me about this shot that I've popularized over the years. Many, many years ago, I photographed a backlit shot with rain. Okay, it's raining, backlit with flash. And I popularized it, and certainly now we see it everywhere. We see these kind of shots everywhere. People have asked me, how do I do this kind of a shot during the day? Okay, how do we do that kind of shot during the day? Let me show you. Well, I need a dark background, otherwise it's not going to work. So let's go where the trees are. Babe, I want to get you here. Let's just test the flash. Okay. You are going to get soaked. It's the last shot of the day.
Yeah, fine.
You need to look at each other. Without passion in this photograph, it's just going to be nothing at all. I need you to look at each other like you're hungry and you're each other's meals. All right? Look at each other's lips. I want you perfectly front on, and then we're going to backlight it with flash, and as soon as we get it, we're done. Okay? All I need is your faces. Now bring your hair behind your ears. Beautiful. I want you to face each other now and hold each other really close. Your hand on his chest there, darling, and that right hand down. Down. Now, come, see how Johnny's closer to me than you? Come closer towards me. Stop. Now, I want you to lean, both of you lean this way. Stop. That's it. Beautiful. Now, chin down a slight touch, Johnny, but don't tilt your head towards me. That's it. Leaning closer. Stop there. Look at each other's lips, guys. Now, that's it. Now, bring your hand up higher, darling. That's it. Chin down, gorgeous. Tilt your face towards me, mate, just a little bit. Stop. Go closer together. So how did I get that particular shot, like during the day? What I did was, first of all, I looked for the darkest area in my environment. That was the dense trees overlapping each other. So I isolated that darkness. I took my photograph so that darkness it was dark, right? It was dark. Once I got that shot in my camera that was pretty much pitch black, then all I had to do is grab my couple in the foreground and then bang the flash in. Now you might say, how is there light on the foreground? Well, don't forget, they were at the foot of the trees, which means some light was filtering through them anyway. By the time we got to the background, it was darker and darker again. So I got my exposure for the background first. Typically what I find a good combination of backlighting with flash is about 6 feet behind the couple, right? Think of it, a tall guy, stand next to the couple, lie down, that's 6 feet, okay? Not too close. So many people go too close and the flash is down low, the flash hits there, up the nose, and you don't get that perfect little rim around both of them, as you can see. So then I put the actual flash as high as possible, usually behind the guy. He has a bigger body and a bigger head. And my assistant, which is normally Melissa, squats down, hand up high. Her wrist is behind the neck of the groom. The flash is behind the head of the guy. And you might say, why is there more light on the actual groom than the bride? Well, 2 reasons. One, it was deliberate because he needs a bit more help being prettier. Does that make any sense? He's a handsome dude, but because she's a bit of a Barbie doll, I need a bit the prettier light on him. So she comes slightly closer towards the camera, and although it looks like they're looking at each other, they're literally a little bit off. And if I'm shooting at f4 here, for example, they're both in focus. The flash hits her face and then bounces back on him, and that's why he has the prettier light than she does. Then it starts raining, the light hits the rain at the back, we get that separation, and there's the shot. It was a 2-day wedding, and this is the end of the second day, and again, I just sort of said, I mean, I build up so much trust with my couples, they pretty much do whatever I say, but again, I'm going to say, hey honey, I've got an amazing idea for a photograph, it'll be in a perfect finale for an incredible couple of days. It's raining, you know what, let's use it, let's just jump out there, have some fun, soak up this rain. This is going to be fun, let's do it. You're never going to wear the dress again. Let's play, you know. And if you remember, who's a member of the Eye Society here? Who's a member of my educational website? You would have seen this wedding on the actual, on my website, the whole wedding, and you saw, man, she was dancing, flicking the dress around left and right, and she had a ball. But, you know, maybe she wouldn't have done it for everybody, but she did it for me. Guys, practice. Go at night time, put a sprinkler on, and then bang, flash. Guys, for those of you who've been following Melissa and I on Facebook and Twitter, you may have realized that we went to Peru only about a month or so ago. We went to Machu Picchu. We met this local Peruvian woman, and I didn't know this photograph was taken of me actually, but here I am taking a glorified snapshot of this woman and her child, and this is my boring snapshot that came from my camera. Pretty flat, pretty boring. All I did was this. I took that photo. I thought, wait a second, Jerry, you're a photographer. Say something with what you're doing. Say something. I lowered my camera angle. I took the shot, and then I color corrected it. Have a look at the difference. What did I do that made all the difference? I just lowered my camera angle, and I got her head and shoulders above the horizon. What am I trying to say in this image? She's a hero. She's being strong for her daughter, and her head and shoulders are above the environment. Her daughter doesn't really have an identity yet. All I'm seeing is her eyes, and her head's not above the actual environment. She has to deserve that respect. That's what I'm saying with a simple change of perspective. Think about it. What am I trying to say? Everything you do in your image will tell the viewer something. If you're not saying anything different than someone with a glorified iPhone as a selfie, like, why would you deserve the respect and someone paying you for it? Probably you don't. I know that's probably pretty sad, but it's harder to create that magic these days. Guys, when I started 21 years ago, I shot my first wedding at the age of 20. I had a Mamiya RB67. It was a big-ass camera, bellows. You look down. You have a Metz flash. I had a light meter, like I was saying to you earlier today. There was magic. No one else could do what I would do on the day. You were a professional. You were a magician. Now, our secrets to our illusions have been exposed. In fact, now you can go to Instagram and press on a button that can actually make an ordinary photo look interesting. You see what I'm trying to say? I didn't say good, I said interesting. Any photo, you slap a texture, oh, it looks cool, oh, it's fun. And ironically, we're doing the effects that we did friggin' 20, 30 years ago. How about do what you do in camera? How about learn lighting, learn posing? How about learn storytelling? How about evoke emotion? What a concept that is. Now we're talking. Now your images will transcend the computer of the bride looking on a website for a photographer. Maybe that's worth investing in. One of my favorite shots in the Peru trip was actually a photojournalistic image, actually. I love the groupings of people. What am I trying to say? I'm saying, you know what? There could be thousands of people at an incredible location, but the true beauty is already remains. We will come and go. This will remain forever. In fact, we ruin the beauty of these locations. Every time I go to an incredible place, I look at it, I'm thinking, you know what's ruining this thing right now is me. I shouldn't really be here. And there's thousands of people in Machu Picchu, and I'm like, oh my God, if only I was the only person here to enjoy it. Don't you say that too, right? But it is what it is, right? It's beautiful, so therefore that's why we're there. We want to see it. So while we were there, we did a shooting seminar. We did actually pretty much a day like this. And we had a couple of models, and I would show my students, how to use the environment. And if you can imagine, we're in a dark room like this, and you open up one of the doors to outside. All I did was open up the door, and the light hit the door and actually reflected back on the girl. So I'm using the door as a reflector, and I went up close, and that was my shot. Then I actually stood in a position where the doorway was hiding half her face, and I did this one. If you want eyes to appear larger, then put the chin down, make the whites envelop the eyes, the irises, like I told you earlier today, and that's how you do it. And they look more aggressive. So if you want something a bit more, maybe even sexually aggressive, you can do that as well. So don't forget, I opened up the door, I shot this way. A nice contemporary portrait. It just so happens to be a good exposure and a nice triangular composition. Beautiful lighting on them. And then I say to myself, wait a second, hold on a minute here. I was shooting in that corner and there was a piece of material on this desk. I lift up the material and lo and behold, there was a reflective piece of glass on the desk. So I lowered my camera angle. I thought, let me do this. Isn't that fun? Then I thought, wait a second, he's a handsome devil there. Let me get her out of the way. Remember, the closer you go to the reflective surface with your lens, the more vivid the reflection. I'm not talking about a mirror. A mirror is obvious. You can stand anywhere, get a reflection. But if it's a marble or just a piece of glass with no mirror, go close to it. Bring your lens close to the glass, and you make it vivid. Earlier today, guys, for those of you who just joined us for this evening, I showed my audience a beautiful girl in really bad light. Because I wanted to prove to you that no matter who you're photographing, it still takes someone to bring out the best in them. Because you could photograph the most beautiful, attractive, perfect face and body in the world, and if you don't capture them in the right light, or maybe in an unflattering position, they don't look so great. In fact, here's one right here. That could have been a great location. You might say, I'll just bring that up afterwards in raw conversion, I'll soften her face, bring out some catch lights, and we'll hope for the best. Yes, you can do that. But why not just fix it up right there and then? Why not just make it good in camera with beautiful light? So remind you of the kind of shot they did today, actually. Very similar. Horizontal, cropped differently. Then what happened, this is really funny actually. Then what happened, one of the students came up to me and said, Jerry, every time a master photographer comes to our part of the country, our part of the world, and I study with them, I invite them to take photographs with the models with my vintage car. Now, if someone told you that, what would you be thinking if you were me? So every time a master photographer comes to our part of the world, I invite them to photograph with my vintage car. What would you be thinking if you were me right now? Yeah, I'm one of many, but what else?
Type of classic car.
Say it again?
Type of classic car.
What type of classic car? Not really. What else would I be thinking? That's right. I'm like, oh, holy shit. Like, I'm intimidated right now. I'm like, I'm going to be compared with everybody else who did photograph with this particular car. Now, even though that I naturally put the pressure on myself to just come up with something really cool anyway, it gave me an extra kick up the ass. In other words, I was saying to myself, if so-and-so, like if 10 photographers came here right now, I don't want to be the guy that didn't perform and got some really poor, boring shots, right? It's my natural competitive nature. I think everyone would be like that too, right? I say to myself, I think I want to kick ass right now. I want to be the guy that actually outperformed everybody else. I'm not saying that in an egotistical way. It's purely, you don't want to be average, do you? You want to shine. So, all right, there's my mindset. I walk in, I'm like, I can't think standard. I can't think that typical shot that we all do. Front of the car, side of the car, you're there, couple are here. It's a standard 3/4 length car shot. So I start off pretty easy in the sense that nothing too fancy. I use the car in the foreground. I have my couple in the background. I have this beautiful light on them, a great little smile, nice little contrast of green and orange. Okay, pretty cool. Then I'm like, wait a second. I don't think many people would have the couple in the car and then go from outside shooting in. So let me wedge my ice light on the rearview mirror, have my couple just there as if they're driving, then shoot in the glass like this, and then get this image. Then let me straighten up the frame in case the angle doesn't suit, or maybe even get the bride to look at me as well. Maybe that's too bright, so let me get a reflector to soften that, and then let's get it maybe a bit darker, more dramatic. I don't know, let's have some fun. And then I pressed the pause button, like I told you earlier today, and I started walking around and think, let me see what else I see. Maybe I see something different. So then I look at this really cool reflection, and then I drop my camera angle, I shoot up to get those specular highlights coming through the trees behind, and I get this image. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to actually get the viewer, as in the viewer of the photograph, to find the moment. Then I thought, okay, I've taken a photo of him on his own in the car. What about her on her own? So he goes out. I walk on the other side of the car, press the pause button, and have a look. I see something different again. And I was done. I can be proud. I can walk out of there. Now, let me use this as an example or an analogy to maybe you this weekend if you're shooting a wedding. Do you walk into that wedding and compare yourself with everybody else right now? As in, if you were walking to that wedding and if every single person had 10 minutes the same that you had in this location with this bride, you would want to outperform them, wouldn't you? But because that's humanly not possible, you would just go in there and just do your stuff. I'm saying is, when I shoot a wedding, I say to myself, what happens if every other person in the world was photographing this wedding right now? What would they do? How would I perform? Quite simply, we're all comparing ourselves to everybody else, aren't we? Every single wedding that you shoot, you are putting it on the blog, putting it on websites, putting it into competition, whatever you may be doing. You need to outperform everybody else. When I say outperform, it's not a competition or it's about ego or anything like that. It's purely, I believe that the only way that you can get work these days is 3 ways. Be the first, be the best, or be different. Be the first, it's very difficult to be the first because most things have been done before. Perhaps I've shown you things that you've never seen before. I don't know. But let's say the first is almost impossible. Be the best. Being the best is subjective. If I said to you who the best singer in the world is, it might be Frank Sinatra to you, it might be Stevie Wonder to me. Therefore, it's subjective. It's not possible to be the best. So really, it's about being different. Be different. Put the pressure on yourself. All right, guys, let me show you a wedding that I photographed, literally a glutton for punishment. I had a wedding a day before the tour, a day before my first city of this tour. So these are all no Photoshop, by the way. This image, I wanted a photograph of the groom doing up his tie. So I see a mirror, a reflection there, and I close the slats. I want those little highlights to be reflected off the actual marble. I get this image. Nothing fancy, just a nice, fun little perspective of the groom getting ready. Then I use window light, and I'm thinking, I don't need too much. Just, he's a handsome guy. I'll just use split lighting. Now, I took many pictures of him laughing and smiling, but he carried off both looks really well, smiling as well as the quite sort of cool look into the camera. This shot, what I did was I closed the actual, this is the barn doors here, and then I took that shot. I think many of us wouldn't think to shoot in that perspective, wouldn't we? Like right there to get that light filtering through. It's simple but clean, right? Then I thought, again, split lighting works well for him. It's a masculine quality of light. Is a really cool looking dude. Then I was on my way out, about to walk to the bride's home on the same estate, and I remembered a shot I had to do, or wanted to do. So you know what? Whenever my conscience tells me, hey, I've got an idea for a photograph, I commit to it. I'm not lazy. I walk upstairs. I open up the liquor cabinet, and I see a beveled piece of glass. Now, you saw what I did with a beveled piece of glass today, the mirror. Shooting through beveled glass gets me this shot. All I need is 2 shots for my spread of the wedding album, right? 2 shots is all I need. Normally, if you focus on the most vivid reflection, everyone falls into place. Every so often, a reflection or a piece of glass might be weird enough that if you focus on one, it's not the other, and so on and so forth. Just focus on the most vivid, I would say, or whoever you want to feature. Then I'm walking out, I'm like, oh, wait a second, I see something else. I see the marble kitchen bench. So I said, stand in the doorway there, look out that way, great. Oh, it's all manual. Yeah, I just showed you aperture priority today to show you what the camera's doing, but this one was manual. Then I was going outside, I was waving goodbye, and I'm like, oh, wait a second. You look handsome there, let me come back. He just had that intense, cool look about him, so I just kept on exploiting it, right? Then I went to the bride's. She wanted detail shots. Great. She's actually a photographer, this bride. So she spent a lot of money on detail shots, so I, took the rings with pearls, macro lens. The biggest mistake people do actually with detail shots, if you're shooting with a macro lens, for example, you'll shoot at 2.8. 2.8 on a macro is like a sliver. It's like 1.2 almost. You've got to go like f4, 5.6, f8 to get anything near what you're seeing right there. Practice, guys. You'll see what I'm talking about. And flick it to manual focus. You'll learn quickly what works and what doesn't. This next photograph was of the bridal party. I took a bridal party shot looking to the camera. I only had 2 more minutes with the bridal party. The rest of the time was going to be with the bride and groom. So I ended up I had to change the shot quickly to get enough variance. So I took the bridal party shot altogether. Then I just said, hey guys, bride and groom, come closer towards me. Bridal party, separate, and I just took this shot. It's nothing fancy, but it's just a quick way of making a different shot in that same environment where I had no more time to do anything else. So what am I trying to say? Do the best you can with what you've got. Sometimes a wedding is like an Olympic dive. You go off the low springboard, it's easy, you jump in, no splash, great, easy. Sometimes high dive, triple, half pack, friggin' somersault, whatever, big splash. Arguably, it was a better dive than that simple one. So I'm just saying is, don't freak out. You just got to do the best you can under the circumstances. Then the reception comes, and that was the marquee from the outside. So what do? I'm looking at it. I'm thinking, how cool would it be to get the bride and groom in one of those highlights and get the band closer to the material? I'll get a cool silhouette. Have a look. I love the idea of actually that voyeuristic feel, and sometimes the idea of getting people to look for the moment, which I think is really cool. It started raining, and then the bride went to the bathroom, ran across the grass, she tripped and she face planted. Dirt everywhere. But you know what? She's so cool, this bride, she couldn't care less. In fact, she went in the photo booth and took this shot. Look at the dirt on her dress. She couldn't care less. She was so freaking cool, this bride. I loved her. Then we did a same-day slideshow at the wedding. Who has done a same-day slideshow at a wedding? 2 of you? Okay, guys, I want to tell you this. The best marketing that you'll ever do at a wedding is a same-day slideshow. You guys call it same-day edit, I think you guys call it. Same-day slideshow. What the 2 or 3 of us know in this room that the rest of you don't, you can make a huge impact by showing the photographs you took on the exact same day, prime time, big screen, show the photographs that you shot. I would rather you do that than go into a corner of a room and show them in a little laptop, a little iPad, because you're taking attention away from everybody sporadically, and also you're lessening the impact. You could do it prime time. Get ready to give out business cards and brochures, because I'm telling you, it is the most impactful thing that you can do. Very rewarding. Now, I know you have a few questions about slideshows. I can actually hear your minds ticking a little bit. Guys, this is a warning. If you suck, do not offer a slideshow. Can you imagine on the same night, like, here's some really ordinary photographs of you guys. Like, we all start somewhere, okay? We all suck when we start. We all do. So only if you're capable of doing a great job, rain, hail, or shine, is when you offer a slideshow. If you shoot 3,000, 4,000 images in RAW only, do not offer a slideshow. If you shoot maybe 1,000, 1,500, maybe with RAW and small JPEG, then now you have a chance. Now, what I do is, as I shoot the reception, in between breaks or times I don't have to shoot, I download my favorites. I download all the images, only the JPEGs. I pick my favorites. I put them in Lightroom. I design a slideshow. I output an MP4 slideshow. I have a small projector, smaller than this one. This very computer. I have the music on USB drive, which I give to the DJ or sound system, the band. And then I count down 3, 2, 1. They press play, I press play on my computer, and everyone sees a slideshow. And like I said, but guys, you are going to give out a friggin' business cards like it's going out of fashion. Here's one more thing I'm going to add to this process for those of you who don't know about slideshows or those of you who've already done it. Here's a great thing that you can add. What we do sometimes is we'll redo the slideshow a month after the wedding with color-corrected retouched images, and then we produce a DVD of that slideshow. That becomes a thank you gift from the couple to all the guests. So what we do in one of our high collections, we give a copy to all the guests. Can you imagine? 300 families, so 300 people were at the wedding, 150 couples or families that it represents, then I will give them 150 DVDs. And you might think, what, 150? That's $3 each or $2 each, big deal, $300. That's $300 to get your work in people's homes. And if someone's getting married in that home, who are they going to think of? But that guy that blew us away with those images on the same day, let alone I was reminded of it with that DVD slideshow. In fact, let's get it out again. Oh my God, let's just see it again. Was it as good as I remember? Oh my God, it was amazing. Let's ring him up. I'm saying it's rewarding, guys. It ends up being an amazing thing to do. So great marketing tip. Today wasn't a business seminar, but that's the best marketing that you'll ever do. Well, like I said to you, it was raining. And a couple of girls were outside. They were drunk, smoking cigarettes. And I walked outside. I said, hey, girls, do you mind if you come over here with the bride and groom and smoke your cigarette, blow the smoke out and run away? They just said, yes, no problem. So there they are, the 2 girls smoking the cigarettes with that strong backlight that existed in the property. And then that's the shot that I got. I mean, you just use the world around you, right? Like whatever you find. If I bring all these props and stuff to a wedding, then all my weddings look the same. So I'd rather rely what's in front of me than everything starts to look unique to that particular couple. And then next time I see someone smoking next to a shot, oh my God, remember that time I did that? Oh my God, let me do it again. My main sources of inspiration, though, generally, cinema, music, and fashion. Cinema, music, and fashion. I'm a big movie buff and movie goer. I love movies. I love fashion. Like, as I told you, I'm not much of a book smart kind of a guy. Don't get me wrong, I'm a smart guy, but I'm not a let me read books and let me do that. Melissa, she'll read 10 books at once. Like, she'll literally have 10 books on her iPad, and then today she feels like drama, and she'll read the drama book, and this one's just fiction and biography. For me, Vogue magazine, Harper's Bazaar, Vanity Fair, I'm just constantly flicking images in my head soaking those images in because I love beauty. I love glamour. Unashamedly, I love the woman. I love the woman's body. I love guys. I love chisels. I just love God's creation. I'm sorry, I do. I just unashamedly. So for me, I love to be able to bring that out on my work. So a lot of my work is modeled after things that I've seen. I just have a good memory, a good visual memory. Not photographic, but very good visually usually. You know. Going back with this, guys, this was an area that they basically had for people to smoke cigars and all that kind of stuff. And then what I did was I thought, how cool would it be to actually get the groom smoking a cigar with the bride looking on, backlight with flash. It started raining. What the hell do? I see a marquee in the background. I go on the other side of the marquee so my camera doesn't get wet. And then the couple were happy to go out in the rain. I backlight with flash. I get this image. I expose for this first. I get my exposure for this quality first. And then I backlight with flash. My favorite shot of the whole day was this following one. My favorite shot of the whole day. In fact, this is the only image that's been retouched. I was so excited about it that in the last couple of weeks I ended up retouching it. In fact, Lavalu retouched it for me. So here I am I walk past the house and I see this white overcast sky reflecting back off the glass. Nothing fancy. And I thought, if I positioned the groom, I asked if anyone had a ladder, so they brought me a little step ladder. The groom in the way where I'm seeing his reflection, you know where everyone stands, you'll shoot right through the person. Does that make any sense? Like, wherever someone is, you'll be able to see vividly through that piece of glass, where normally you just see the white sky. So I put him in a way, and I shoot through, and I get this result. It's just so simple, but so striking. I love the fact that his body looks like her body. You see that? That could very much be her body. And if you look closely, look at his forehead and her hair. It looks like she has a contemporary hairstyle. It looks like Pink, the hairstyle. You know what I'm trying to say? Isn't that crazy? Now, guys, let me show you the reaction to the slideshow. I said to Melissa, I go, Melissa, get your iPhone out. I want you to videotape this reaction. Have a look.
Ladies and gentlemen, the photographers here all the way from Australia. Fabulous photographer, Jerry Ghionis. He's a good friend of Sarah's. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for that wonderful presentation.
Where do you get that job satisfaction anywhere in the world? I mean, where do you get that? We've immortalized these moments for the families. And what we do for these people is going to outlive them. Think about that for a moment. What we do for a living outlives everyone. You never really throw out photographs, do you? Unless you get divorced and you... But divorce is a wonderful thing because we have 2 more chances at the wedding. But you see what I'm trying to say, guys? Like, it's a beautiful thing, and that's a whole other seminar, because I'm very passionate about what we do for a living and why we do it. Perhaps you'll hear more of that after the break, but it's a pretty important thing that we do. Don't you think?